Hey everybody, welcome to Making Sense of It All. I'm your host Jesse Stakes, and today I have Garry Callis Jr. on. Gary, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor.
So you caught my attention to a couple of things, like, and people can see it in your background. Fling golf was the first thing that I saw. You post a lot of stuff about fling golf, and it really caught my attention. But the other thing, the thing that really made me kind of say, "Hey, I really want to talk to you," was an article that you put out on LinkedIn. And so the article that you put on LinkedIn was about AI search engines specifically for the sport of golf. And I don't want to steal all your thunder. So go ahead and tell everybody what the company is that you work for, in a 3,000 foot view to start with. What are you guys doing?
All right. So, first things first, what's going on, y'all? Gary Callis Jr. here. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and I actually am still an intern with this company, funny enough. I work at a company known as Exponent 21. We are an AI SEO marketing company based in Richmond, Virginia. And it's exactly as Jesse said. So we do a lot when it comes to search engine optimization, but we supercharge it with AI. Now you're probably thinking, but Gary, what the heck is even that? To kind of give like the broad, strokes, the cliff notes on everything, I want you to imagine you're at a store. You're trying to think, all right, what is the best soda that I can buy for my kids that isn't too sugary? You whip out your phone, you go to ChatGPT, and something pops up, probably Olipop or something. But you're gonna find that, your standard players, PepsiCo, Coke, whatever, gonna pop up. But companies that you might like might not pop up there because their content probably hasn't been cited for these AI overview chat. Just as a statistic to give to the audience here, as of what is it, January of 2026, more than 60%, okay, 60% of search engine results pages on Google have an AI overview. Now, what does that mean? It means that people, from the time they put in their search query to the time they make a decision, didn't have to click on anything because the AI overview has already answered their question. You know what I'm saying?
I
Now,
do.
wouldn't you want your company to be the one that's cited in that AI overview?
No doubt.
That's what we at Exponent 21 do. We create content that helps brands be cited in those AI search results and for those overviews.
So you tell me if I'm wrong here. I mean, I think a lot of it is like people don't know what they don't know. And so
Mhm.
until you bring this up to somebody, until you start actually having these conversations and share these concepts with people, they're oblivious to it. It's just they're kind of in the dark on it, and they think just because it's out on the web, or because it exists in, let's say, their website or something, that it's going to just naturally be pulled in because they think AI is intelligent and it's just going to do this, right?
Right, right. So here's the thing to note about AI. AI to me is a mirror. It reflects what you give it. So you need to be careful with the information that you put out in the ether because when you go to ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Copilot or any of these other large language models, what's the first thing you see at the bottom? Blank can make mistakes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So the information that you give it needs to be 100% accurate. Otherwise, you're going to get the wrong output because the input that you gave was misleading.
Yeah, it's garbage in, garbage out, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's interesting because I think that some people like it, and I am guilty of this myself. These machines are learning. They're only learning off of what we have, and I think that, like, people talk about AI getting to general intelligence, or and then they talk about the fact that the way it gets to general intelligence is essentially bringing in all the information that humans are creating. But
Right.
then, and you hear guys like Elon Musk talk, and they say what happens after general intelligence is it actually unlearns everything that it has learned from humans, and then it's going to relearn everything basically on its own, so that it actually can learn it from I guess, an agnostic point of view without the human errors and the human biases.
Right. My point to that is, though, if anybody's familiar with the Terminator, so I wrote an article, funny enough, as a part of my internship, which is kind of the ethical contract of AI, and it was comparing like Skynet to Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? And so the responsibility that we as people have when it comes to AI tools, learning about AI, and you know on one side, we do have the thought process of, oh, AI is going to take over, yada, yada, yada. Or are you going to have the more kind of utopian side of AI allowing us to kind of streamline our work and thought processes to where that we can focus on more kind of creative endeavors, whereas AI kind of does more of the heavy lifting. To Elon's point, though, he's half right. There's going to be a time where human error is going to be phased out when AI has amassed enough information, I think. But at the end of the day, because, humans still have to be the ones that pull the trigger at the end of the day when it
Yeah.
comes to any and all operations. I don't care how small or how big an operation is, AI should only be used as like the first draft. A human still needs to overlook and oversee everything that happens after that.
No doubt. So let's pull it back to, I mean, because you are really you're focused on the golf industry with what you're doing.
Yep.
And what is it? What made you decide you wanted to focus on the golf industry, kind of overlaying, technology and the business world, but really focused on something that you're passionate about?
All right. So a little background. I've been with or in the golf industry, adjacent to the golf industry for about 7 years now. Um, I worked at Top Golf for 3 years. I was in secondhand golf sales for a couple of years. I was a golf fitter. I've been all over the place, so I understand golf from like the hospitality side all the way down to the equipment side. I make golf content on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And then I also play, as we've mentioned, fling golf. I'm currently 17th in the world in fling golf. Was on ESPN a couple of years ago, and the sport's growing. But to answer your question, I found that golf is a very ego-driven sport, and a lot of people, shout out to my golfers out there, will know how this feels. You're on the first tee. It's a par four, say about 440 yards, wide open fairway. You immediately pull out your driver.
Why wouldn't you?
Put it back. Because we all know full well that ball is going to go so far left, it voted Democratic. Put it back. Put it back. If I'm on the first tee, I'm pulling my 4 iron out because 220 down the middle feels so much better than 280 in the woods, you know? And that's where I started thinking of this kind of AI SEO playbook that I'm calling Relief. Um, we all know what taking relief feels like. Your ball's in a divot. Go ahead and pull it out, man. We're not playing for money. Your ball's in a sprinkler head. Go ahead and give yourself a little relief. It's fine. And I look at golf in the same way for AI. Whether it's from the golf course superintendent level, trying to figure out what kind of grass, does he need for his course? Do you need Bermuda? Do you need soy shot? Whatever. All the way down to the beginner trying to figure out what their first set of clubs should be. You should be able to go into your large language model, ask a question, and you get that answer. Now, to my point earlier about AI overviews, if you go to ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever, and you put in, you know, best golf clubs for insert swing speed here, you're gonna get, your Callaways, your TaylorMades, your Titleists, whatever, right? You're gonna get your big three or your big four.
100%.
You're not going to typically get, your sub 70s or your Tacomos or your direct to consumer brands that, quite frankly, deserve to be mentioned just as much. Now, in Tacomo's case, they're doing a really good job with influencer marketing. They're killing it. I mean, with Bob Does Sports and all that, just signing a deal. I mean, they've been really, really killing it. But in the thought process of DTC brands, they deserve just as much of a seat at the table as the bigger guys, but there may be an issue with their content, whether it's blogs, YouTube, whatever, whatever, not being eligible enough to be cited by an AI. I'll give you an example. If you're a business person out there that does blogs for your business, does your blog have proper headings? Does your blog have pictures? Does your blog have captions that go with those pictures that explain the context of those images? Does your blog have backlinks to the rest of the product pages that are on your site? If you're golf specific and you're explaining, I don't know, how to hit driver, are you taking a picture that explains why tee height is important? There's so many of these different things. Are you tying your blog back to your newsletter, which then ties back to your social media? Are you creating that kind of content flywheel that allows AI to cite you? If you're not doing these things, well, this is my call to action for you to shape up.
Yeah, I think that honestly, I think what you just did right there, you just made people's heads spin because I don't think people understand how many things have to happen in order for them to get where they want to be. Like when it comes to your point, these AI engines pulling or these whether it's you know Chat GPT, if it's AI Copilot, whoever it is, like they don't understand what it takes for their stuff to show up. They just think if I put something on the web, it's gonna query it, it's gonna pull from all these different places, and that you're gonna get there. I think that when you said what you just did, you know, the first thing that in my head was, okay, I don't know how to do that. Who do I talk to? Who are the people that I need to talk to in order to make sure that happens? And I think that's where you come in, yes?
Right. So I pitched this idea during my internship to my boss. Will Melton is one of the premier like AI SEO experts in the world. He's the CEO of Exponent 21. So I pitched my golf idea to him, and he goes, "You might have something," to the point where he actually created golf.exponent21.com as the landing page for
Nice.
this so I can start kind of, getting my feet wet and pitching to companies and all that and just like developing more of the framework behind it. To show how this works, if you go to ChatGPT and put, what ball should I use if I'm swinging at this speed, you're probably not going to see a ball that you play. You know what I mean? You're probably not going to see the compression rating, the dimples, and yada yada yada. I'm going to get really nerdy for a second, so forgive me.
Please
Um,
do.
so I created an application known as TruePath Golf. I'm going to start getting copyrights and all that squared away for it and everything too. But it's an AI fitting tool that is 100% brand agnostic. When I started fitting, before I started fitting, I was a TaylorMade fanboy. You know what I mean? Like I was team TaylorMade all the way. Didn't care who you were. I'm talking TaylorMade to you. But as I started fitting and started realizing that everybody's different, every club is different. I'm from the bowling scene before I even became a golfer, and I
Okay.
realized that every bowling ball does something different. In the same vein, it works the same way in golf. And so after that, I really don't care what brand you play. Does the ball go in the hole? You know what I mean? And so a lot of people need to shed that ego layer of, yeah, man, I'm playing the latest and greatest, bro. I just got my QI 4D for $650, but I bet you on that first tee shot, you shanked it like everybody else.
Probably
What
true.
what's the difference between you doing that with a QI 4D versus, I don't know, an R7, the 2006 or 2007 model from TaylorMade that you can get secondhand for $80?
Yeah, it's
What's
the
the
same the
difference?
same reason that somebody buys a Gucci purse over something from Target.
Exactly. I mean, you ain't fooling nobody. I don't know how many times I've gone to a store and I think, man, I really want some Frosted Flakes. I then look at Kellogg's and it's like $6 for a box, like a small box of Frosted Flakes. But then I go to the bag cereal, like the generic store brand, I get more product for less money and they taste the same.
No
You know what
doubt.
I mean? It's
I
it's the same
100%.
thing.
100%. Well, and I think, but it's to your point one of the first things you said golfers have egos. And I think that, in my day job, I play golf with a lot of people that are affluent, and I can't tell you how many people have a bag that probably when you look at it from the bag itself, that is probably a $400 to $600 golf bag. You've got a $3,000 set of irons. You got a $700 driver, as you said. It might even be over 1,000 if they've got that custom shaft in it. They've got a piece of jewelry for a putter, or they've got like the newest fad is to have a lab putter in there. They literally have a bag that costs them somewhere between 4 to 5,000, $6,000. And to your point, golf handicaps, people haven't gotten any better in the last 50 years. When you look at handicaps from 25, 30 years ago to golf handicaps today, they haven't moved. And in some cases, they've actually backed up a little bit. They're not getting
Right.
any better. Like this stuff, the stuff that they're buying, the pretty, it might make you feel better. And if that's what, if honestly, like to me, it's like I don't fault anybody for doing anything. If it makes you feel better to play something that's a $700 driver versus going and buying something that's $100 or 150, go for it. It's your choice. But if you're expecting it to lower your handicap or to actually for you to improve at the sport, it ain't happening.
I agree. I agree. So really quick, just to kind of explain more of like my thought process on this, as it regards to AI. Um, so in business, we have what's known as the buyer's journey. So you have three steps. You'll have your awareness step, your consideration step, and then your decision step. For awareness, uh, how do you solve a problem? First of all, by realizing that a problem exists in the first place. The consideration step, okay, you're now aware of the problem. How do you solve it? What do you do? What steps do you take to consider and take care of this issue? And then the decision stage. I've gone through my first two stages. What do I do now to pull the trigger? What product and service do I need to use to alleviate my issue? So I took that and I decided to golfify it a little bit. So
Okay.
my golfer's journey is the tee shot, the approach, and the short game. So, tee shot. All right. I am at PGA Tour Superstore. I'm looking for golf balls and I am stumped because there's like 80,000 different golf balls
Right.
I'm looking at and I have no idea what the hell to use. The approach shot. All right. I've identified my issue via the tee shot. Let me go to search or chat GPT or TruePath Golf and figure out what golf ball I need because I'm actually integrating a golf ball fitting tool into this too. What do I need? I'm at this swing speed. My miss pattern is, I might snap hook it to the left because I play a natural draw. And I hit my driver, X amount of yards typically on average. And then the approach shot. All right, I've identified my issue. I've figured out what ball I need. Now it's time to make something happen.
You mean short game?
Yep, that's the short game. We're trying to figure out what ball to put in the hole, what decision do I need to make. And this should work at literally all stages of the game. You are a golf course owner, you realize that your beverage cart program probably isn't functioning the way that it wants because for the longest time, for the last 50 years, people are just thinking about, oh, it's just the bev cart girl going around, serving drinks, not
Right.
thinking about how that cart girl could be, or your beverage person could be your secondary starter. You're not thinking about how this person could add to the hospitality of your course because now they've got speakers in their car. They're, the resident hype person keeping these golfers engaged. So again,
Yes.
tee shot. What's my issue? Less engagement on the golf course. Approach shot. How do I deal with this situation? You hire people who actually give a damn. And then your short game, you execute.
Yep.
So no matter how you look at it, we can use this framework for every single person in the golf industry, regardless of what echelon you work in.
And I think that that's the important part that I need to reiterate for the audience is the fact that this is not just another fitting tool. This is not just something that you're trying to overlay over like what clubs am I going to play, any of that stuff. It is for the industry in total. It is to try
Correct.
to is to drive efficiencies and to drive real knowledge, real information back to whoever the consumer is that is sitting in front of their computer using an AI tool to try to learn more about how they can get better at every single phase of the golf game, the golf business, the hospitality around the sport, the travel around it, any part of the game, you are looking to optimize their experience with their AI tools that they're utilizing. I
That
thought
is exactly right.
before we ever started, before I hit the record button, one of the things you said to me, and I wrote it down actually because I thought it was so powerful. You said AI SEO is the equalizer for industries in general to make everybody sit on an equal playing field. And I thought that was such a powerful thing to say. And it's such a, like, if that can crystallize things in people's mind to know that if you're a golf resort that's out in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have a huge marketing budget and you're trying to compete with the Pinehursts of the world and the Kiowa Islands of the world and your, all of your destinations like a Pebble Beach. Well, if you're trying to compete, your money is better spent in optimizing your presence within AI than it is on making some, you know, gaudy presentation essentially for people to see when they're looking at the website or when they're looking at certain things, correct?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the things that I love about this industry and specifically this framework is it tells you who you're not for. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
golf clubs are going to tell you if I'm buying this driver, there's going to be four other products inside of this product line. You're going to have a max, a triple diamond, or something else. And it's going to tell you who this driver's for and who it's not. And so, with that in mind, I want businesses to think of that the same way. Who are you not for? You know, this first hole, say, let's just say, for example, we're on hole one of a course, again, back to that 440-yard par four. The way that I would optimize that would be I would have a QR code on the sign that tells you, you know, you'd have like yardages, trouble areas, all that. Scan a QR code at the bottom of that thing, and you will have a drone flyover with a voiceover that gives you your trouble areas. Tells you who you're not for. This hole is not for people looking to bomb it off the tee because your trouble is here and here. Use an iron. You just enhance that person's experience because you've taken the ego layer out of it.
Absolutely. I think it's fantastic. Well, and I think that that's the again, you go back to the ego when you're talking about it. There's so many people that choose to play the game of golf that do have an ego, and so they think. I'll give you an example. We talked about it earlier. Tiger Woods plays a certain driver, and
Yep.
so if it's good enough for Tiger Woods, it's good enough for me, right?
Yep.
Not the case. Like there's there are things that are gonna fit me far more than they fit Tiger Woods, and they're gonna be for different reasons. And it's
Exactly.
I mean, that's just, that like I think people are almost silly in the sense that they walk into a golf store or even if it becomes, whatever it is, if it's travel. I mean, you could use Pebble Beach as an example. That might be a $10,000 or $15,000 trip that you and your family can't afford, but there might be something fantastic that you can. And so it's if you put in the right parameters and if you search the right parameters, then you can still take a wonderful trip that you have an amazing experience. But to get back to this example, when it comes to a driver or anything else, I would never walk into a store and buy a pair of pants and say, "Well, what size does Garry wear? I want to wear what Garry wears."
Right.
It's just not going to happen. I mean, we think it would be an asinine way to think. It would be crazy. We wouldn't sit there and try to button a button that just doesn't fit for us. But we grab a piece of golf equipment or we try to aspire towards things that other people do because we think, well, if they do it, I should do it. Doesn't make
Right.
sense.
To tell you a story, and this is me name dropping a company strictly because I worked at a place that
Go
was
for it.
a,
There's no
a subsidiary for it. So back when I was a fitter at Dick's Sporting Goods, the amount of times that people would come through and buy Pro V1s at 50 to 55 bucks a dozen, knowing full well they're going to lose each and every single one of them that day. And then come back to me 3 hours later. Yo, bro, I lost all the balls. No shit. I bet you did. You're buying a $55 dozen of balls and a $600 driver with a $2 swing. Bro, it doesn't work that way. So, what did I do? I was recommending Maxflies all the time. And just for reference, Ben Griffin has been absolutely killing it on tour right now using a Maxfly Tour X, which you can literally go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy off the shelf for 40 bucks right now.
right.
Just off the shelf. There's no pro version, no secret in the lab, like, Titleist left dot, left dash, whatever. None of that. You can just go to a store and just buy it.
Yep.
But because of the fact that you now have the capability to go on your phone, hit up any large language model and go, hey, these are my issues. What do I do? And you get an answer. If there is nothing else that this audience takes from me, I want you to listen to the next few words that are coming out of my mouth. What is AI SEO really for? It is to make you the answer in AI powered search. I'm going to say that again because it's very important. It is to make you the answer. We try to make you Allen Iverson. You're trying to be the answer in AI powered search. And if you're not being the one that's cited, you're being left behind. So you need to optimize the content that you have, go to your existing library of content and optimize it. I had a video where I was at the PGA show last year and I'm playing fling golf. I'm doing a demonstration on the putt view, the movable platform with the like it's such a cool piece of equipment. I looked at the first post that I made, saw a couple things that I could have fixed. I fixed a couple of captions. On Instagram, that post kind of stood around maybe 80,000 views, which, is still fine. But I reposted it. In half the time I got to that 80,000 view threshold, it's now sitting at 200K. So don't be afraid as a company, if you're looking to optimize your social media, look at your highest performing stuff. Try to understand why it's performing that way. Look at the current trends as to how people are posting, whether it's readjusting captions or whatever, and don't be afraid to repost it again, because who knows, you may have gained a few extra followers that can then start to reshare your stuff again, and it could just take off.
No doubt. No doubt. Garry, for this part of this, I think you couldn't say it any better. If anybody just heard that and they realize they need help, they realize that they're not optimizing their presence on the web, they're not optimizing their presence in AI or on social media.
Yep.
How can they get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to reach out and ask for help?
So here's what you do. Go to exponent21.com and we have two things that we can do for you. One, we offer a free SEO audit. So you can go in, type in your name, your URL, and what exactly you need help with. And we will do a comprehensive scan of your site and we will email you the results of what might be going on. So like if your headings, aren't optimized or things like that, we will give you that diagnostic info. And if you would like to, kind of move forward in that process for us to give you a hand, there is a schedule a call feature as well. We'll get you in contact with our sales team and we'll take it from there.
Fantastic. So that was a pretty abrupt ending with Garry right there. It's only because I'm breaking this into two parts. In part 2, tune in to listen and learn more about fling golf, the professional side of it as well as the recreational side of it. It is a new way to play golf that is taking the course by storm. Until then, we'll catch you guys down the road.